The dead city stretched for miles beneath the survey drone's cameras. Diana Ross watched the screen with growing unease. Every building looked perfect. Streets ran in neat patterns. Vehicles sat parked in organized rows. But nothing moved. Not a single living thing walked those pristine streets or flew through that clear sky. Population estimate? She asked. Henry Walsh tapped his tablet. Based on city infrastructure and housing density, somewhere between 8 and 10 billion. For the whole planet, I mean. And they're all gone? Every single one. Henry's voice was quiet. 3 separate landing teams confirmed it. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just empty buildings with breakfast dishes still on tables. Diana felt a chill despite the warm air flowing through the ship. The Meridian had been exploring this system for 2 weeks now. Aurora 7, they called it, a beautiful star with 6 planets, the 4th one perfect for life. When they first detected the cities from orbit, the entire crew celebrated. First contact with alien civilization. It would change everything for humanity. Except the civilization was dead. How long ago? Diana asked. 47 years, give or take a few months. We found their calendar systems in the computer networks that still have power. The last entries all stop at the same date. Samuel Rodriguez crossed his arms. 47 years and nothing's decayed? No plants overgrowing the streets? No weather damage? Their construction was incredibly advanced, Henry said. Materials that resist corrosion, self-maintaining infrastructure. This civilization was at least 200 years ahead of us technologically. Then what killed them? Diana looked at the empty city again. Disease, war, some kind of mass evacuation? That's what we're trying to figure out. Henry pulled up another screen. But here's what bothers me. We found communication satellites in orbit, hundreds of them. All of them were deliberately shut down on the same day the planet went silent. Like someone threw a master switch. Amelia Ortiz looked up from her station. Captain, I'm detecting something in the northern hemisphere. It's broadcasting a repeating signal, very low frequency. Put it on speakers. A deep thrumming filled the bridge. Not exactly sound, but something that made everyone's bones ache. It pulsed 3 times, then paused, then pulsed 3 times again. That's not natural, Samuel said. No, Amelia agreed. It's definitely artificial. And it's coming from some kind of beacon. Underground, I think. Really deep. Diana made her decision quickly. Samuel, get a team ready. Full exploration gear. We're going down there. 6 hours later, Diana stood in a cavern carved from solid rock. The beacon sat in the center of the chamber. A black cylinder 10 feet tall. Its surface was smooth and cold. Strange symbols covered every inch of it. Can you read it? Diana asked. Henry ran his scanner over the symbols. The computer's working on translation. These people's language shares some logical structures with human mathematical notation. We're getting fragments. He paused, reading his screen. Oh no, what? It's a warning. Henry's face had gone pale. The translation is rough, but the meaning is clear. It says they are listening. They heard us, they came. Silence is survival. If you make sound, you will die. Samuel pulled out his weapon instinctively. Who came? It doesn't say. Just they over and over. Henry scrolled through more text. Wait, there's more. We made the mistake. We sent signals to the stars. We asked if anyone was listening. Someone was. They do not tolerate voices in the void. They came on the 47th year after our first broadcast. They gave no warning. They showed no mercy. They will come for you too. Diana felt her blood turn to ice. How long has humanity been broadcasting into space? Radio signals? Amelia's voice shook. Over 200 years. The cavern went silent except for the thrum of the beacon. Get me every piece of data we can carry, Diana said quietly. Every file, every image, every word. We're leaving this system in 1 hour. Captain? Samuel asked. Earth needs to know about this. Now. They worked frantically, downloading terabytes of data from the civilization's remaining networks. The picture that emerged was terrifying. This species had been peaceful, curious, reaching out to the cosmos with radio telescopes and probe missions. Then one day ships appeared in their sky, massive things that blocked out the sun. The aliens inside gave them one message. Your noise ends here. The extinction took less than 6 hours. The details were sparse, but the meaning was clear. This civilization had been wiped out simply for making sound. Back aboard the Meridian, Diana recorded her message to Earth. She chose each word carefully, knowing how much panic this would cause. Earth Command. This is Captain Diana Ross of the deep space vessel Meridian. We have made a discovery that threatens the survival of our entire species. We have confirmed evidence of intelligent alien life. They are hostile. They hunt civilizations that use radio technology. Earth has been broadcasting for over 2 centuries. If the pattern holds, they know we exist. They may already be coming, she paused, looking at her crew. Good people, brave people. They had left Earth excited to explore. Now they might be going home to watch it die. I am attaching all data we recovered. Earth must stop all broadcasts immediately. All of them. Radio, television, satellite communications, everything. We must go silent. It may already be too late, but it's our only chance. Meridian is returning home at maximum speed. We'll reach Earth in 6 weeks. Pray that's fast enough. Diana ended the recording and looked at Amelia. Send it fastest transmission possible. Done, Amelia said softly. Captain, do you think they'll listen? They have to. Diana stared at the stars beyond the view screen. Humanity had always imagined first contact as a moment of wonder, meeting wise aliens who would share knowledge and friendship. Nobody had imagined this, a galaxy enforcing silence through genocide. Set course for Earth, she ordered. Maximum burn. Don't stop for anything. As the Meridian accelerated away from the dead planet, Diana thought about the beacon's message. Silence is survival. For millions of years, humanity's ancestors had huddled in caves, staying quiet to avoid predators. Then they grew strong and started making noise. They sang and shouted and celebrated their existence. Now they would have to learn silence again. Either that or learn to fight something that had killed its way across the galaxy. The question was, which would humanity choose? And would they have time to make that choice before the hunters arrived? Behind them, the beacon continued its endless warning pulse, broadcasting into the void where no one was left alive to hear it. The leak happened 3 days after the Meridian's message reached Earth. Some technician at the lunar relay station told his wife. She told her sister. By morning, every news network on the planet was screaming the same headline. We are not alone and they want us dead. Patricia Huang sat in the emergency council chamber deep beneath Geneva, watching the world fall apart on a dozen screens. Riots in New York, mass evacuations from coastal cities, religious groups declaring the end times, stock markets in free fall. 3 governments had already collapsed. Turn it off, she said. The screens went dark. 50 faces around the table looked at her. Presidents, generals, scientists, corporate leaders, the hastily assembled Earth Defense Council. Most of them looked terrified. We have 6 months, Patricia said. Maybe less. That's how long it took them to reach the civilization that Captain Ross discovered. 6 months from when they started broadcasting to when the attack came. We've been broadcasting for 2 centuries, so they've had plenty of time to find us. The only reason they haven't arrived yet is distance. How can we possibly prepare in 6 months? President Osei asked. His voice carried the accent of his native Ghana. We have no weapons that can fight in space. No ships designed for combat, nothing. Then we build them. Patricia pulled up a holographic display. I've had military engineers working around the clock since we received the warning. This is the Defiance. A warship. Real armor plating, not the thin hulls we use on science vessels. Weapons that can punch through enemy shields. Engines powerful enough to outmaneuver anything we've seen in the recovered data. 1 ship? General Petrov laughed bitterly. 1 ship against an empire that spans the galaxy? 4 ships, Patricia corrected. Defiance, Retribution, Vengeance, and Last Stand. We're converting every orbital construction platform to military production, stripping resources from asteroid mines. We can have them ready in 5 months if we push hard enough. Rebecca Stone spoke up from the science section. I've reviewed the alien technology data. Their weapons use directed energy and kinetic projectiles. We can match the kinetic systems easily. Railguns aren't that different from what we already use for cargo launches, but their energy shields are beyond our current understanding. So we can hurt them, but they can't hurt us, someone asked hopefully. No, Rebecca said flatly. We can't match their shields, so we'll be vulnerable. But our weapons can penetrate their defenses if we get close enough. It's a question of whether we can survive long enough to fire. What about diplomacy? President Osei looked around the table. Has anyone considered trying to talk to them? Perhaps if we explain that we didn't know the rules, they might show mercy. Patricia shook her head. Captain Ross found evidence that the dead civilization tried to surrender. It didn't matter. These aliens don't negotiate. They exterminate. The only language they understand is force. Then we're doomed. Petrov slumped in his chair. Even if we build these ships, even if we fight like demons, what chance do we have against something that's been doing this for thousands of years? Silence filled the chamber. Patricia let it stretch for a moment, then spoke quietly. My son died 5 years ago. Training accident during zero-gravity combat drills. He was 23, had his whole life ahead of him. She looked at each person in turn. I think about him every day. What he might have become. The children he might have had. But he's gone. And I can't change that. She stood up. What I can change is whether other mothers lose their sons. Other fathers lose their daughters. We have 6 months to give humanity a fighting chance. I don't care if the odds are against us. I don't care if we're outmatched. We are going to build those ships. We are going to train the best crews the species has ever produced. And when they come, we are going to make them regret finding Earth. President Osei straightened in his chair. What do you need? Everything. Every resource, every factory, every mind that can help. We shut down all non-essential services. Food, water, power, and defense. That's it. Everything else stops. The economy will collapse, a corporate leader protested. The economy doesn't matter if we're all dead, Patricia shot back. What good is money on an empty planet? The debate lasted for hours, but Patricia knew she had won the moment Osei asked his question. Humanity might be divided by borders and beliefs, but survival was a powerful unifier. By the end of the session, the entire council had agreed to the military mobilization. The next week, every broadcast station on Earth went silent. Satellites stopped transmitting. Radio telescopes shut down. For the first time in 2 centuries, Earth made no noise. The silence felt like holding your breath underwater, waiting to see if the shark would swim past. But before they went quiet, they sent one final message. Patricia wrote it herself, standing in the main communications hub as technicians prepared to shut everything down. To whoever is listening in the dark between stars, you have hunted civilizations across this galaxy. You have enforced silence through fear and death. You believe you own the void. But you are wrong. Humanity does not bow. Humanity does not surrender. If you come for Earth, you will find no prey. You will find predators. This is our only warning. Leave us alone, or learn why humans climbed to the top of the food chain on a planet that tried to kill us for millions of years. The transmission burned outward at light speed, carrying defiance across the cosmos. Then everything went dark. Construction of the Defiance began in orbit 3 days later. Patricia watched from the command center as thousands of workers swarmed over the skeletal frame. The ship took shape slowly, piece by piece. It looked brutal compared to the elegant curves of science vessels. All angles and armor plating with weapon ports covering every surface. Rebecca brought her the first test results for the railgun systems. They work. Better than expected, actually. We can accelerate projectiles to 3% of light speed. Anything we hit will be obliterated. How many shots before the system overheats? 12, then we need to let it cool for 60 seconds. Not enough. We need continuous fire capability. Captain Huang, we're already pushing the laws of physics. The heat buildup from firing these weapons is intense. If we try to fire too fast, we'll melt our own ship. Patricia studied the numbers. What if we use expendable railgun pods? Single-shot weapons we can eject after firing? Rebecca's eyes widened. That could work. We'd have to redesign the ship's hull, but yes, that could work. 2 months passed. The Meridian returned to Earth with Captain Ross and her crew. They were treated as heroes, given medals and honors. But Diana refused to celebrate. We should have found them sooner, she told Patricia during their private meeting. If we had explored that region of space 10 years ago, Earth would have had more time to prepare. You gave us 6 months, Patricia replied. That's 6 months more than that dead civilization had. They never saw it coming. We have a chance because of you. Diana looked out at the growing fleet. Is it enough? I don't know, but it's what we have. 4 months after the warning, long-range sensors detected something at the edge of the solar system. A probe. Small, fast, clearly not human. It accelerated toward the inner planets, scanning everything in its path. Patricia gave the order to intercept. 3 fighter craft launched from Mars Station, armed with experimental missiles. They caught the probe near Jupiter's orbit. The probe's defenses activated instantly. Energy beams sliced through 2 fighters before they could react. The 3rd fighter managed to launch its missile, but the probe dodged effortlessly. Then it turned back toward deep space. Don't let it escape, Patricia ordered. The surviving fighter pilot did something desperate. He pointed his craft straight at the probe and hit maximum acceleration. The fighter struck the alien device at 30,000 kilometers per hour. Both exploded in a brilliant flash. Debris analysis later showed that the probe had finished transmitting data before it was destroyed. It had scanned Earth, counted the population, measured the defenses. Somewhere out in the dark, someone now knew exactly what they would face. Patricia stood in the observation deck of the nearly complete Defiance, looking at Earth below. Blue and green and beautiful. 7 billion people down there, most of them trying to live normal lives despite knowing what was coming. They're coming, Samuel Rodriguez said beside her. He had been promoted to the Defiance's head of security. I know. We can't win. Probably not. So why fight? Patricia smiled grimly. Because maybe we can make them hurt. Maybe we can make them think twice before they hunt the next species. Maybe we can show the galaxy that humanity doesn't die quietly. She turned to face him. And maybe, just maybe, we can win. Someone has to fight back eventually. Why not us? 2 months later, every alarm on Earth screamed at once. 12 massive shapes had appeared near Neptune's orbit, decelerating from faster-than-light speeds. The Dominion had arrived. 12 ships hung in the darkness near Neptune, each one larger than any structure humanity had ever built. Their hulls gleamed with an oily black surface that seemed to absorb light. No windows, no obvious weapons, just massive geometric shapes that radiated menace. Diana Ross stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching them on the main display. Around her, the crew worked in tense silence. Nobody spoke. Nobody even breathed loudly. After months of preparation, the moment had finally come. Distance? She asked quietly. 4 billion kilometers, Amelia replied. She had transferred to the Defiance as communications officer. They're holding position just beyond Neptune's orbit. They're studying us, Samuel said. He paced behind the tactical station, hands clasped behind his back. Figuring out what we have. Let them look. Patricia Huang's voice came through the command channel. She was aboard the Retribution, commanding the entire defense fleet from there. All ships maintain defensive formation. Do not fire unless fired upon. Diana watched the alien vessels and felt a strange calm settle over her. Fear had been her companion for 6 months. Now that the enemy was here, actually visible and real, the fear transformed into something else. Focus. Incoming transmission, Amelia announced. Audio only. It's in English. Put it through. A voice filled the bridge, deep and resonant, with an accent that suggested the speaker had learned human language recently and imperfectly. Human vessels. I am Commander Vel of the Dominion Fleet. You have violated the most sacred law of this galaxy. You have made noise in the void. You have broadcast signals that disturb the silence. For this crime, there is only one sentence. Complete extermination of your species. Diana grabbed the communications control. This is Captain Diana Ross of the Earth Defense Ship Defiance. We were not aware of this law. We meant no harm. Surely there can be some negotiation. Negotiation? The alien voice carried something that might have been amusement. You do not negotiate with bacteria. You do not reason with parasites. You eliminate them. This is your only warning. Surrender your ships and return to your planet. Your deaths will be swift. If you resist, we will make your species suffer before we erase you from existence. Patricia's voice cut through the channel. Commander Vel, this is Admiral Patricia Huang of the United Earth Defense Forces. I have a different proposal. Leave our system now and never return. If you attack us, you will learn why humanity survived 10,000 generations of predators. We will hurt you. We will make you bleed. And even if you destroy us, the cost will haunt your empire forever. Silence for 5 seconds. 10. 15. Then Vel spoke again, and this time, the amusement was clear. You are children playing with weapons you barely understand. Your ships are pathetic. Your defenses are laughable. We have destroyed 10,000 civilizations across 10,000 worlds. You are nothing special. You will die like all the others. Then come and kill us, Patricia said coldly. We're waiting. The channel cut off. For 30 seconds, nothing happened. Then the alien ships began to move. They accelerated impossibly fast, crossing billions of kilometers in minutes. Their formation was perfect, maintaining exact distances from each other as they swept toward the human fleet. Battle stations, Diana ordered. Around her, the crew moved with practiced precision. Months of drilling and training took over. Fear became background noise. Action was all that mattered now. Enemy weapons powering up, Samuel called out. Energy signatures matched the descriptions from the dead civilization's records. They're going to hit us with directed energy beams. All ships evasive pattern Delta, Patricia ordered. Make them work for it. The human fleet scattered. 4 warships, each one bristling with railguns and missile pods, accelerated in different directions. They were slower than the alien vessels but more maneuverable. Human pilots could handle higher G-forces than the Dominion's artificial gravity systems compensated for. The first energy beam lanced through space where the retribution had been 3 seconds earlier. It struck Neptune's moon Triton instead, vaporizing a crater 5 kilometers wide. Holy hell, someone whispered. Focus, Diana snapped. Helm, execute attack run Alpha. Take us right at their flagship. Captain, that's suicide, the helmsman protested. Do it. The Defiance turned and accelerated straight toward the largest Dominion vessel. Railguns charged, capacitors whining as they built up power. Diana watched the distance counter drop. 3 million kilometers. 2 million. 1 million. Fire everything, she ordered. 60 railgun rounds launched simultaneously. Each one was a solid tungsten rod weighing 200 kilograms, accelerated to 3% of light speed. They crossed the distance to the Dominion flagship in seconds. The alien shields flared as the round struck. Most of them detonated against the energy barrier, creating brilliant flashes of light. But 3 rounds penetrated. They punched through the shields and slammed into the ship's hull. At those speeds, anything they hit simply ceased to exist. 3 holes appeared in the flagship's armor, each one 20 meters wide. We hurt them, Samuel said with fierce satisfaction. All ships converge on the flagship, Patricia ordered. Pour everything into those breach points. The Vengeance and Last Stand changed course, their railguns tracking onto the damaged vessel. More rounds fired. More impacts. The flagship's shields flickered and failed. Without protection, the alien vessel was vulnerable. But the Dominion wasn't defenseless. 2 of their cruisers moved to protect the flagship, their weapons firing continuously. The Last Stand took a direct hit from an energy beam. Her forward section simply exploded. Atmosphere vented into space along with bodies and debris. The ship tumbled away, trailing fire. Last Stand is gone, Amelia reported, her voice shaking. 1,500 crew. Diana forced herself not to think about it. Grieving would come later, if there was a later. Retribution, this is Defiance. We're moving to intercept those cruisers. Keep hitting the flagship. Acknowledged, Patricia replied. The battle became chaos. Ships wheeling and turning, weapons firing, shields flashing. The Defiance closed with one of the cruisers. Too close for the big energy weapons to track effectively. Samuel coordinated boarding pods, small craft loaded with Marines in combat armor. Pods away, he announced. Diana watched on the tactical display as 40 pods accelerated toward the cruiser. Most got destroyed by point defense systems, but 7 made contact. They burned through the hull using shaped charges, creating entry points for the Marines inside. The Dominion learned what humans were like up close. Marines fought through the corridors of the alien ship with rifles and grenades, weapons that seemed primitive compared to energy beams, but worked just fine in tight quarters. The Dominion crew had never experienced actual boarding actions before. They panicked, retreated, made mistakes. 30 minutes after the pods landed, Samuel's team reached the cruiser's reactor. They planted nuclear charges and evacuated. The explosion ripped the ship in half. 1 down, Diana said grimly. 11 to go, but humanity was losing. The Last Stand was destroyed. The Vengeance had taken heavy damage and was falling back. Only the Defiance and Retribution remained fully combat capable, and they were up against 10 enemy ships now. The Dominion flagship began to regenerate. Repair systems sealed the breaches in its hull. Shields came back online. It turned toward the Retribution, weapons charging for a killing blow. No, Diana whispered. Patricia saw it coming. She had seconds to make a decision. The Retribution couldn't dodge fast enough. The shields wouldn't hold against a direct hit from that weapon. She made her choice. All crew. Abandoned ship, now emergency pods away. Patricia's voice was calm, resigned. Diana, it's been an honor. Patricia, don't. The Retribution accelerated directly toward the flagship. Patricia routed all power to the engines, pushing them past safety limits. The ship went faster. Faster, too fast for the Dominion vessel to track. The flagship fired. Its energy beam struck the Retribution dead center, cutting through armor and systems. But the human ship was already committed, already moving too fast to stop. The Retribution struck the Dominion flagship at 15,000 kilometers per hour. Both ships exploded. The blast lit up the darkness like a newborn star. When it faded, nothing remained but expanding clouds of debris. Diana stared at the empty space where two ships had been. Patricia was gone. 1,500 more crew were gone, but they had taken the Dominion flagship with them. One of their most powerful vessels, destroyed by a human captain who refused to surrender. Captain? Amelia's voice broke through her shock. The other Dominion ships. They're retreating. Diana looked at the tactical display. The surviving enemy vessels were turning away, accelerating back toward deep space. They were leaving. Actually leaving? Why? Samuel asked. They still outnumber us. They could finish us, Diana understood. They're scared. They came here expecting easy prey. Instead, we destroyed 2 of their ships and damaged 3 others. They've never faced anyone who fought back this hard. The enemy fleet vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving the solar system behind. A ragged cheer went up across the Defiance's bridge. They had won. Impossibly, against all odds, they had survived. But Diana couldn't celebrate. She thought about Patricia Huang choosing to die so others might live. She thought about the crew of the last stand vaporized in an instant. 3,000 dead, 3,000 people who would never go home. Get me a casualty report, she said quietly, and send recovery teams to pick up any survivors from the damaged ships. Samuel approached her. Captain, we won. We survived, Diana corrected. There's a difference. They'll come back, in greater numbers next time, better prepared. So what do? Diana looked at Earth on the view screen. Beautiful and blue and still alive. We get ready. And we find allies. The Dominion called themselves an empire. That means there are other civilizations out there. Some of them must be hiding. Just like that dead planet was trying to warn us. We find them. We convince them to fight. She turned to face her crew. The Dominion thinks they own the galaxy. They think they can enforce silence through fear. But we just proved them wrong. 1 system, 4 ships, and we sent them running. Imagine what we could do with an alliance. Imagine what the galaxy could do if everyone stopped hiding and started fighting back. Amelia pulled up data from the captured cruiser. Captain, we got into their navigation systems before the ship exploded. There are coordinates here. Locations of dozens of other systems that were marked for extermination. Systems that might still be alive, Diana said slowly. Hiding, staying quiet, waiting for death. What are your orders? Diana smiled for the first time since the battle began. We're going to find them. We're going to tell them what happened here. And we're going to teach them something the Dominion fears more than anything else. What's that? Hope. 3 months after the Battle of Neptune, the Defiance traveled through an asteroid field 12 light-years from Earth. Diana studied the scan results with growing frustration. The coordinates from the captured Dominion ship had led them here, but the asteroids appeared completely lifeless. Nothing on thermal sensors, Amelia reported. No power signatures, no communications, no movement. They're here, Henry Walsh insisted. He had joined the mission as humanity's lead xenologist, determined to make first contact with living aliens this time instead of dead ones. The Dominion marked this location. There has to be a reason. Maybe they already destroyed whoever was here, Samuel suggested. Diana shook her head. The Dominion keeps records of exterminations. The system isn't marked as complete. It's marked as contained. That means something. She studied the asteroids again, hundreds of them, ranging from pebbles to mountains tumbling through space in chaotic orbits. A terrible place to hide a civilization, unless that was exactly the point. Amelia broadcast on all frequencies. Tell them we're human. Tell them we fought the Dominion and survived. Tell them we're here to help. Captain, if the Dominion is monitoring, they already know we're here. Our engine signature isn't exactly stealthy. Just do it. Amelia composed the message and sent it. Then they waited. 5 minutes passed, 10. Nothing. Try again, Diana ordered. Different frequencies. Old radio bands, modern quantum channels, everything. An hour later, they were about to give up when Amelia suddenly grabbed her controls. Captain, I'm getting a response. It's very faint, coming from inside one of the larger asteroids. What does it say? It's not words. It's a mathematical sequence. Prime numbers in ascending order. Diana felt excitement surge through her. They're testing to see if we're intelligent. Send back the next 10 primes in the sequence, Amelia did. Seconds later, a new message arrived. This time it was in broken English, clearly translated by an advanced computer. You say you fought the Dominion. You lie. Nothing fights the Dominion. Nothing survives. We have sensor logs, Diana transmitted back. Video footage of the battle. We can prove what happened. Silence for 3 minutes. Then send proof. If you are Dominion trick, we will know. We will destroy you. Diana had Amelia transmit everything. Video of the battle, casualty reports, even Patricia Huang's final sacrifice. She included Earth's coordinates, their population, everything. A huge risk. If this was somehow a Dominion trap, humanity had just given away every secret they had. 20 minutes passed. Then the asteroid field began to move. 3 of the larger asteroids rotated, revealing massive doors carved into their surfaces. Lights activated, harsh and bright. The doors opened and ships emerged. Not sleek vessels like human designs or Dominion warships. These were crude, industrial-looking craft built for function over form. But there were dozens of them, and their weapons were clearly visible. Holy hell, Samuel breathed. They'd been hiding an entire fleet inside those rocks. A new transmission arrived. You speak truth. Dominion would never admit losses. You are either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. Probably both. We are Tal. We have hidden here for 200 years since Dominion came to our homeworld. You will dock with Command Stone. We will talk. The Defiance approached the largest asteroid carefully. Up close, Diana could see the true scale of what the Tal had built. The entire asteroid was hollow, converted into a hidden base. Thousands of Tal lived here, an entire civilization compressed into space the size of a small city. The docking procedure was tricky. Human ships weren't designed for asteroid hangars, but the Tal guided them in with clear instructions. When the airlock finally opened, Diana led a team of 10 through, including Henry, Samuel, and Amelia. The Tal were waiting. They looked like a cross between insects and crustaceans, standing upright on 4 legs with 2 upper limbs that ended in complex manipulators. Their bodies were covered in chitinous armor, colored in patterns that seemed to shift and change. Diana realized they were communicating through bioluminescence, lights pulsing across their shells in intricate sequences. One Tal stepped forward. Lights flashed across its body in rapid patterns. A translator box hanging from its neck spoke in mechanical English. I am Hive Coordinator Sen. I lead these Tal. You humans are either saviors or harbingers of doom. I have not decided which. I'm Captain Diana Ross. We're not here to bring doom. We're here to propose an alliance. Sen's lights flickered in a pattern that might have been amusement. Alliance. Such a strange concept. For 200 years we have focused only on survival, hiding, staying silent, watching others die.
You want us to fight?
Yes, why would we do this? Dominion is unstoppable. Everyone knows this. We stopped them, Diana said firmly. 1 system, 4 ships, and we sent them running. They're not gods. They can bleed. They can lose. Sen led them deeper into the asteroid. The Tal warrens were cramped and efficient. Every space utilized. They passed workshops where Tal built weapons and ships. Nurseries where young ones learned in silence. Training halls where warriors practiced combat in zero gravity. After Dominion came to our world, only 300 Tal escaped, Sen explained. We fled here to this worthless system and we have survived by being invisible. Now there are 5,000 of us. We have ships. We have weapons. But we also have something to lose. If we fight Dominion, they will hunt us down. They will find this place. They will kill everyone. They'll find you anyway, Henry spoke up. The Dominion is patient but thorough. Eventually, they'll scan every asteroid and every system they've marked. You can't hide forever, so we should die fighting instead of die hiding. Sen's lights flashed angry red. What difference does it make? Diana stopped walking. The difference is what you leave behind. Right now, if the Dominion finds you, they'll erase you like you never existed. Your children will die without ever knowing freedom. But if you fight, if you stand with us, maybe your children will live in a galaxy where they don't have to hide. Sen was quiet for a long moment. Then the Tal's lights shifted to a soft blue. Come, there is someone you must meet. They descended deeper into the asteroid, following tunnels that got progressively smaller. Eventually, they reached a chamber where the walls were covered in displays showing star charts and data streams. This is Archive Chamber, Sen explained. We record everything here. All knowledge Tal possessed before Dominion came. All knowledge we have gathered since. Another Tal approached, this one older looking with cracks in its shell. Its lights were dim but steady. This is record keeper Finn. Finn maintains our history. Finn also maintains information we gathered about Dominion. Finn's translator spoke in a voice that sounded tired. I have studied Dominion for 200 years. I know their patterns. I know their weaknesses. They have weaknesses? Samuel asked sharply. Everything has weaknesses. Dominion's greatest weakness is their arrogance. They believe they are invincible. This makes them predictable. They attack the same way every time. Heavy, overwhelming force. No subtlety. They expect immediate surrender. Finn pulled up tactical displays. When you fought them at Neptune, they retreated because you surprised them. But they will return. Next time with more ships, more weapons. They will not underestimate you again. That's why we need allies, Diana said. We can't fight them alone. Finn's lights pulsed thoughtfully. There are others. Other species hiding. I have tracked them. Observed them. Some are strong. Others are weak. But all are afraid. Give us their locations, Diana pleaded. Help us find them. Help us build an alliance, Sen interrupted. If we do this, Tal become target. Dominion will hunt us. They're already hunting us, Diana countered. At least this way we have a chance. The two Tal exchanged rapid light patterns too fast for the translators to keep up. Finally, Sen spoke again. Tal will consider your proposal. But first you must prove you are worthy allies. There is a Dominion listening post 3 light-years from here. It monitors this region. As long as it exists, Dominion can track any ships that move through this space. If you can destroy it, you prove you are serious. You prove you can fight. Diana looked at Samuel. He nodded slightly. We'll do it. 2 days later, the Defiance approached the listening post. It was a small station, automated mostly with only a skeleton crew. But its sensors could detect ships across several light-years. As long as it existed, any alliance would be blind and vulnerable. 3 Dominion crew members detected, Amelia reported. No other ships in the area. Good, Samuel, prep your boarding team. We take the station intact. I want access to their communication systems. The attack was fast and brutal. Marines launched in stealth pods approaching from the station's sensor blind spots. They breached the hull and swept through the corridors with ruthless efficiency. The Dominion crew never had a chance to send a warning. Within an hour, the station was under human control. Amelia worked on cracking their systems while the Marines secured prisoners. Captain, you need to see this, Amelia called out. Diana joined her at the main console. The displays showed a map of surrounding space with dozens of markers. These are all species the Dominion is monitoring. Some of them are marked for extermination. Others are marked as contained, like the Tal. And look at this. Amelia pulled up a specific file. This is the Vrin, aquatic species hiding in ice moons around a gas giant. The Dominion knows about them but hasn't attacked yet. They're saving them for later. How many species total? 47 in this sector alone. All hiding, all waiting to die. Diana stared at the map. 47 civilizations. Every one of them terrified into silence. How many more were there across the galaxy? Hundreds? Thousands? This is it, she said quietly. This is what we need. We visit every one of these species. We show them the Dominion can be beaten. We build an alliance. Samuel joined them. The Dominion will notice when the station stops reporting. Let them notice. By the time they send someone to investigate, we'll be gone, and we won't be alone anymore. They destroyed the station on their way out, leaving no evidence of what they had taken. Then they set course for the Vrin homeworld. Diana recorded a message to send back to Earth. Command, this is Captain Ross. We've made contact with the Tal, and we've gained intelligence on dozens of other hidden species. The Dominion's empire is built on fear, but fear can be broken. We're going to break it. We're going to show the galaxy that humanity doesn't stand alone. Nobody has to stand alone anymore. We're forming an alliance. We're calling it the Chorus, because we're going to make the galaxy sing again. She ended the recording and looked at the stars ahead. Somewhere out there, the Vrin were hiding in their ice moons, believing themselves forgotten and helpless. They were about to learn different. The silence was ending. The void was about to fill with voices. And the Dominion was going to discover what happened when the prey stopped running and started hunting back. 8 months after the first battle, Diana stood in what used to be an ice mining facility on Europa. and was now the headquarters of the chorus. Representatives from 17 species filled the converted chamber, each one bringing their own unique biology and centuries of fear. The air system struggled to maintain environments suitable for everyone at once. "The Dominion knows," Sen announced without preamble. The Tal's shell lights flickered urgent orange. "They know about chorus. They know species are cooperating. They are assembling executioner fleet." Murmurs rippled through the gathered representatives. Diana recognized the Vryn delegate, a serpentine creature that breathed through gills and required a water-filled tank to survive in normal atmosphere. Beside them, a crystalline being from a high-gravity world resonated with concern, its communication translating through vibrations in the floor. "How large a fleet?" Diana asked. Finn, who had become the chorus's chief intelligence analyst, displayed data on holographic screens. 40 capital ships, 300 support vessels. This is 10 times what attacked Earth. This is extermination force. Dominion will not make same mistake twice. They're coming here? The Vryn delegate's translator made its voice sound like rushing water. "To Earth?" "Yes," Finn confirmed. "They believe if they crush humans, chorus will collapse. All species will return to silence." "They're right," another delegate said. "It was a Nethris, a fungal intelligence that communicated through spores. Without humans, we would never have found courage to resist. If Earth falls, hope dies." Diana looked around the room at being so different from humans they might as well be from different realities. Yet here they all were, gathered because humanity had proven the impossible. "You could fight back. You could survive. Earth won't fall," she said firmly. "We've had 8 months to prepare. We've built defenses, we've trained combined forces, and we have something the Dominion doesn't." "What?" Sen asked, creativity born from desperation. "The Dominion has been doing things the same way for thousands of years. They're predictable. We're not." Over the next 2 weeks, the chorus prepared for the coming storm. The Tal shared their guerrilla tactics, warfare strategies developed from 2 centuries of hiding. The Vryn contributed advanced shield technology they had developed to protect their ice moon habitats. The Nethris offered biological weapons that could disable Dominion life support systems. Humanity brought something else, a willingness to make terrible sacrifices. Rebecca Stone had worked non-stop since the first battle. Now she presented her ultimate weapon to Diana in a secure lab deep beneath Earth's surface. "We call it the Silence Maker," Rebecca explained, gesturing to a device the size of a small car. "It creates a localized faster-than-light disruption wave. Any ship caught in the pulse loses all electronic coordination. Navigation, weapons, communications, everything goes dark for about 90 seconds. 90 seconds, Diana repeated. "That's long enough. But there's a cost." Rebecca's face was haggard. "The energy required is massive. We can only generate it once, and the crew operating the weapon will be exposed to lethal radiation. They'll have maybe 2 minutes after activation before the exposure kills them." Diana stared at the device. "You built a suicide weapon. I built a winning weapon. Whether it's a suicide weapon depends on who's willing to use it." The Dominion executioner fleet arrived on schedule. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system, arranged in a formation so precise it looked like an artificial constellation. 40 capital ships, each one capable of destroying a city with a single shot. Diana was aboard the Defiance again, now serving as flagship for the human fleet. Around her, 20 Earth warships held formation. Not much compared to what approached, but far more than humanity had possessed a year ago. And they weren't alone. Tal strike craft swarmed in the asteroids waiting. Vryn shield generators anchored to orbital platforms protected Earth's major cities. Ships from a dozen other chorus species took up supporting positions, ready to provide covering fire or medical support or whatever else the battle demanded. "Incoming transmission," Amelia announced. "Put it through." A new voice filled the bridge. Not Commander Vel this time. Someone else. Someone older, judging by the depth and weight of the tone. "Human vessels and allied forces. I am Supreme Commander Grath of the Dominion Executioner Fleet. You have committed the greatest crime in galactic history. You have broken the silence. You have inspired others to break the silence. For this, your punishment will be absolute. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Resist and we will burn your worlds for generations." Diana glanced at Samuel. He nodded once. She keyed the response channel. "Supreme Commander Grath, this is Captain Diana Ross of the Chorus Alliance. We don't recognize your authority. We don't accept your laws, and we sure as hell won't surrender. You came here to teach us fear. Instead, you're about to learn respect. You speak bravely for someone about to die. Everyone dies eventually. The question is what you die for. Diana smiled grimly. We're dying for freedom. What are you dying for? The transmission cut off. For 10 seconds, nothing happened. Then the executioner fleet began to move. All 40 capital ships accelerating in perfect synchronization. All ships. Engage, Diana ordered. The battle began immediately. It was clear this was nothing like the first fight. The Dominion had learned. They stayed in tight formation, overlapping their shields to create an almost impenetrable defensive wall. Their weapons fired in coordinated volleys, targeting multiple human ships simultaneously. The Vengeance, rebuilt after the first battle, took 3 direct hits in the first minute. Its shields collapsed. Its hull breached in a dozen places. The ship listed to one side, losing power. Vengeance is crippled, Amelia reported. They're evacuating. Tal forces execute Plan Delta, Diana ordered. From the asteroid belt, 300 Tal strike craft launched. They were tiny compared to the Dominion capital ships, barely larger than human fighter jets, but they moved like a swarm of angry hornets darting through the enemy formation too fast for the big weapons to track. The Tal targeted communication relays and sensor clusters, using precise strikes to blind and confuse rather than destroy. Within minutes, the perfect Dominion formation started to fray. Ships drifted slightly out of position, unable to coordinate perfectly without their sensors. Vryn shields activate, Diana commanded. Around Earth, 50 shield generators pulsed to life. They didn't protect the entire planet, but they created safe zones around major population centers. The Dominion couldn't just glass the world from orbit anymore. They would have to fight for every inch. The executioner fleet adjusted. Half their ships moved to engage the Tal strike craft while the other half pressed toward Earth. They were adapting, learning, getting smarter. We're not going to win this, Samuel said quietly. Not conventionally. Diana knew he was right. For every Dominion ship the chorus damaged, 2 more moved to take its place. Earth's fleet was being ground down. The Tal were losing dozens of strike craft. The Vryn shields were holding but consuming massive energy. This battle could only end one way, unless they changed the rules. Amelia, send the signal. Tell Rebecca we're ready. Captain, that means... I know what it means. Send it. Deep beneath Earth's surface, Rebecca Stone watched her display light up with the activation signal. She looked at the 60 volunteers who had gathered in the lab, knowing what they were signing up for. Engineers, scientists, military personnel, all of them had wanted to be here. It's time, she said simply. They loaded the Silence Maker onto a transport ship, a fast courier vessel designed to slip through enemy formations. Henry Walsh piloted it himself. Diana had tried to stop him, but he refused. I've spent my whole career studying dead civilizations, he told her. Let me help create a living one. The transport launched from Earth, accelerating on a course that would take it right through the heart of the Dominion formation. Tal strike craft provided cover, sacrificing themselves to keep enemy fire away from the small ship. Henry's voice came through the command channel. Approaching optimal detonation point. Rebecca arming the device now. In the lab, Rebecca watched power levels surge. The Silence Maker drew energy from Earth's planetary grid, channeling enough electricity to power a continent. Charge at 90%, she reported. Henry, you have 60 seconds. Understood. Henry's voice was calm. Diana, tell my parents I was doing what I loved. Tell them I saw the stars. Henry, activating now. The Silence Maker detonated. It wasn't an explosion in the conventional sense. No fire, no shrapnel. Instead, it released a pulse of energy that existed partially in faster than light space and partially in normal space. The wave expanded at impossible speeds, washing over the Dominion fleet. Every electronic system went dark. Navigation computers crashed. Weapon systems failed. Communications cut out. 40 capital ships suddenly flew blind, their crews scrambling in darkness. All ships, attack now! Diana screamed. The chorus fleet poured fire into the helpless Dominion vessels. Railguns, missiles, energy weapons, everything they had. Without shields and without coordination, the enemy ships were vulnerable. The Defiance targeted the nearest capital ship, a massive dreadnought that had been leading the assault. 60 railgun rounds struck its hull in rapid succession. The armor, designed to withstand energy weapons, couldn't handle kinetic impacts at 3% of light speed. The ship broke apart, its reactor exploding in a cascade of secondary detonations. 3 more capital ships died in the first 30 seconds, 5 more in the next minute. The Dominion crews were trying to restore power, trying to coordinate, but they had no experience with this kind of attack. They had always been the hunters, not the prey. 90 seconds after activation, the Silence Maker's effect ended. Dominion systems began to reboot, but the damage was done. 15 capital ships destroyed outright, another 10 crippled and drifting. The Executioner fleet's perfect formation was shattered, and Supreme Commander Grath understood something that sent ice through his veins. These humans were willing to sacrifice anything, everything. They had created a weapon that killed its own operators just to gain 90 seconds of advantage. What kind of species did that? What kind of species would rather die than submit? For the first time in 3,000 years of Dominion history, a Supreme Commander gave the order to retreat. The surviving Dominion ships disengaged, accelerating away from Earth. The Tal strike craft harried them, but Diana called off pursuit. Let them go. They've learned enough. On Earth's surface, billions of people watched the enemy fleet vanish into faster-than-light travel. The world erupted in celebration. Humanity had won. The chorus had won. But aboard the Defiance, Diana stared at the scanner showing the debris field where Henry's transport had been. He died instantly when the Silence Maker activated, the radiation burning through him before his nervous system could register pain. 60 other people died with him. 60 volunteers who knew they wouldn't survive. "Captain," Amelia said softly, "we're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. Dozens of civilizations that were hiding. They all watched the battle. They're all asking how to join the chorus." Diana closed her eyes. Henry had wanted to see humanity make contact with living aliens. Now, because of his sacrifice, hundreds of species were breaking their silence. "Tell them we'll send ships," she said. "Tell them the galaxy doesn't have to be quiet anymore. Tell them we're going to finish what we started." Samuel stood beside her. "The Dominion won't stop. They'll rebuild. Come back stronger. I know, but next time we'll be ready, and we won't be alone." Diana looked at Earth, still glowing in the view screen. Still alive, still free. The silence is broken. Forever. Now we make sure it stays that way. 1 year after the Battle of Earth, Diana stood on the bridge of the Diana Ross, humanity's newest flagship built in honor of Admiral Patricia Huang, and named after the captain who first defied the Dominion. The ship drifted in formation with 300 other vessels from 40 different species, the largest fleet ever assembled by free civilizations. Their destination hung in the view screen ahead. Throne, the Dominion homeworld, a massive planet surrounded by orbital defense platforms, shipyards, and weapons arrays built over thousands of years. The heart of an empire that had ruled the galaxy through fear. "Final status report," Diana requested. Amelia, now promoted to commander, worked her console with practiced ease. "All chorus forces report ready. Tal strike craft are in position. Fringe shield ships have formed the vanguard. Human dreadnoughts are ready to provide heavy fire support. Sen, serving as tactical coordinator, added through the communication link, Dominion Defense Fleet detected. 200 ships. They know we are coming. They are prepared." "Good," Diana said. "Let them prepare. Let them be afraid for once." She thought about the journey that led here. After Earth's victory, the chorus had grown explosively. Species that spent centuries hiding emerged from their secret refuges. The Tal taught them guerrilla warfare. The Vryn shared technology. Humanity trained them in combined arms tactics and the one thing that defined human military doctrine, adaptability. The Dominion had tried to stop the growing alliance. They attacked chorus outposts, destroyed shipyards, hunted down recruitment vessels. But for every blow they struck, the chorus struck back twice as hard. Species that had suffered under Dominion rule for millennia finally had an outlet for their rage. The war had been brutal. Billions died on both sides. Worlds burned. But slowly, inexorably, the chorus pushed the Dominion back. System by system, planet by planet. The empire that had enforced silence across the galaxy found itself on the defensive for the first time in recorded history. Now the war would end, one way or another. Either the chorus would break the Dominion's power forever, or they would die trying. "Incoming transmission," Amelia announced. "It's from the Dominion High Council." "Put it through." 5 faces appeared on the screen. Alien physiology so different from each other, that Diana wondered how they had ever formed an alliance. But she knew the answer. Power. Shared control over a terrified galaxy. The central figure spoke. Its translator rendered the words in flat, emotionless English. Human captain, this war is pointless. You cannot win. Even if you take throne, the dominion spans 10,000 worlds. We will rebuild. We will hunt you. We will never stop. Then you'll die doing it, Diana replied. Because we'll never stop either. You built your empire on fear. You made the galaxy silent by threatening extinction. But fear only works if people believe they have no other choice. We gave them a choice. We showed them they could fight back. You can't put that back in the box. Another council member spoke, this one with a voice like grinding stone. You do not understand what you have done. The silence was necessary. There are things in the deep void. Ancient things. Dangerous things. They listen for noise. They hunt for sound. We enforced silence to protect the galaxy. That's a lie, Finn's voice cut through the channel. The old Tal had become the chorus's chief historian, dedicated to understanding the truth behind the Dominion's reign. I have studied your records, the records you thought were destroyed. There were no ancient threats, only your desire for control. The architects were real, Finn interrupted, but they did not leave warnings about noise. They left warnings about stagnation. They said galaxy must evolve, must grow, must change. You used their words as excuse to create empire. You twisted truth for power. Silence from the council. Then the grinding voice spoke again, and this time there was something different in the tone. Fear. If we fall, there will be chaos. Species will war with each other. Without dominion to enforce order, the galaxy will tear itself apart. Maybe, Diana admitted. Probably even. Freedom is messy. Democracy is complicated. Peace is hard work. But at least it's our choice. At least we get to decide our own fates instead of living in terror of you. She leaned forward. You have one chance. Surrender now. Stand trial for your crimes. Help us build something better. Or we come through you and whatever's left of the Dominion dissolves into history. The council faces stared at her. Then the transmission cut off. Well, Samuel said from his tactical station. I guess that's a no. All ships prepare for final assault, Diana ordered. This is it. Everything we've fought for comes down to the next few hours. Make it count. The Chorus fleet accelerated toward Throne. The Dominion defense fleet moved to intercept. Weapons charging, shields at maximum. For a moment, the two forces hung poised like opposing tides. Then they crashed together. The battle was nothing like the desperate defense of Earth. This time, the Chorus fought with coordination and purpose. Tal strike craft wove through enemy formations, targeting weak points. Vryn shield ships absorbed fire meant for the more vulnerable vessels. Human dreadnoughts hammered away at Dominion capital ships with devastating railgun volleys. But the Dominion was fighting for survival now, and that made them dangerous. They deployed weapons they had kept in reserve for centuries. Gravity wells that crushed smaller ships. Energy cascades that chained from vessel to vessel. Biological weapons that ate through hull armor. The Nethris frigate Harmony died when a Dominion plague weapon breached its hull. The entire crew of fungal beings withered and died in seconds. The crystalline dreadnought Unity shattered under the stress of a gravity weapon, its crew dying when the air crystallized in their lungs. Diana watched species she had come to know and respect die in the cold vacuum. Each loss hurt. Each death was a price paid for freedom. Dominion flagship is targeting the orbital platforms, Samuel reported. They're going to destroy their own defensive installations rather than let us capture them. Tal forces intercept. Don't let them destroy those platforms. We'll need them to defend Throne after this is over. Sen responded immediately. Understood. Tal strike craft engaging. Hundreds of small vessels swarmed the Dominion flagship. They were too small for the big weapons to hit effectively, and there were too many for point defense to handle. Within minutes, the flagship's hull was covered with Tal craft, each one using cutting torches and explosives to methodically disassemble the bigger ship. The flagship tried to shake them off, spinning and rolling in ways that would crush any crew that didn't have Tal multi-axis balance systems. But the insectoid warriors held on, working with the patience of creatures that had spent 2 centuries preparing for exactly this moment. The flagship's reactor went critical. The Tal scattered just before the explosion, most of them escaping. The blast took out 3 nearby Dominion cruisers. cascading destruction through their own fleet. Dominion formation is collapsing, Amelia reported. Multiple ships are breaking off. Some are trying to retreat. Let them run, Diana ordered. We're not here for genocide. We're here for justice. The battle wound down over the next 2 hours. Dominion ships surrendered or fled. A few fought to the death, their crews too proud or too afraid to accept defeat. But eventually, Throne hung open and vulnerable before the Chorus fleet. Diana led the landing force personally. 300 Marines from a dozen species descended to the planet's surface, targeting the High Council's citadel. The building was ancient, built from materials that had survived ice ages and asteroid strikes. It looked eternal and untouchable. Human demolition charges proved it was neither. They breached the walls and swept through the corridors. The remaining Dominion security forces fought hard, but they were defending a dying regime. Most surrendered when they realized the battle was lost. Diana found the High Council in their chamber of judgment, a massive hall where they had sentenced countless civilizations to death. The 5 council members waited there, proud and defiant even in defeat. You will not hold this world, the grinding voice said. Throne has defenses you cannot imagine, systems that have protected us for millennia. Then deactivate them, Diana said calmly. Surrender completely. Make this easier for everyone. Never. Samuel checked his scanner. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy buildup beneath us. Some kind of weapon system charging. They're going to destroy the whole planet, Finn said, scanning Dominion data networks. Rather than accept defeat, they will kill everyone on Throne. Millions of their own people. Diana felt rage surge through her. Even now, even in their final moment, the Dominion would rather commit genocide than admit they were wrong. Where's the control system? Below this chamber. 50 meters down. Diana made her decision. Get the council out of here. Take them to the ships. Samuel, you're with me. We're shutting that weapon down. They descended through access tunnels not built for human bodies, crawling through maintenance shafts designed for Dominion technicians. The energy buildup grew stronger with each meter, making Diana's skin tingle and her teeth ache. The weapon chamber was massive, a sphere of contained antimatter the size of a building, held in magnetic fields that pulsed with barely controlled power. If it detonated, it would destroy the planet's crust and kill everything on the surface. There, Samuel pointed to a control panel. But it's locked. We'd need Dominion authorization codes. Diana studied the setup. The antimatter sphere floated in the center of the chamber, suspended by 6 magnetic field generators. If even one failed, the containment would collapse. We don't need codes. We need to think like humans. She pulled out her sidearm. Shoot the generators. Destabilize the field. Captain, that will cause a massive energy discharge. We'll be fried. Better us than the whole planet. Do it. They opened fire together, their weapons striking 3 of the 6 generators. The machines sparked and died. The magnetic field fluctuated wildly. The antimatter sphere began to drift, its containment failing. But instead of exploding, the sphere began to collapse. The remaining generators automatically adjusted, compensating for the damaged ones. The weapon powered down, the antimatter safely contained but no longer armed. Diana let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Human problem solving. If you can't hack it, break it. They climbed back to the surface to find the citadel surrounded by Chorus forces. The High Council members stood in restraints, their proud faces now marked with defeat. Citizens of Throne emerged from their homes, not sure whether to fear the invaders or welcome them. Diana made a broadcast that reached across the planet and beyond, to every Dominion world that was still receiving transmissions. People of the Dominion, your leaders have surrendered. The war is over. You have lived under their rule for thousands of years, believing there was no other way. But there is. The Chorus offers you a choice. Join us in building a free galaxy, or walk your own path. Either way, the age of enforced silence is over. The void sings now. It sings with voices of billions, and it will never be quiet again. In the weeks that followed, the transition began. It was messy and complicated and sometimes violent. Some Dominion worlds welcomed liberation. Others fought to maintain the old order. Some species that had been allies of the Dominion fled to unknown regions of space, swearing vengeance. But slowly a new order took shape. The Galactic Chorus, they called it. Not an empire, not a single government, but an alliance of free worlds committed to protecting each other from threats both internal and external. The trials of the High Council took place on neutral ground. with judges from dozen species presiding. The evidence of genocide was overwhelming. The sentences were life imprisonment, not execution. The chorus would not become what it had defeated. Diana retired from military service after the trials concluded. She returned to exploration, her first love, now traveling in a galaxy that was open and welcoming instead of silent and deadly. She visited the Tal Warrens and saw young Tal being raised without fear. She dove in the oceans of Vryn home moons, watching their cities rebuild. She walked streets on Throne where former oppressors and former oppressed were learning to coexist. One day she stood on a hill overlooking a monument. It was massive, visible from orbit, built from materials contributed by every chorus species. The names of the dead covered its surface. Patricia Huang, Henry Walsh, the 60 volunteers who died operating the Silence Maker, the Tal warriors who fell at Neptune, the Vryn engineers who gave their lives maintaining shields, millions of names from hundreds of species. At the base of the monument, a simple inscription in every written language the chorus knew. They sang when silence would have saved them. Amelia joined her at the monument. She had taken command of the Diana Ross, continuing humanity's tradition of exploration and defense. "Do you think it was worth it?" Amelia asked quietly. "All the death, all the suffering." Diana thought about the young Tal playing without fear, the Vryn children swimming in open waters instead of hiding in deep ice, the human students she had met who grew up knowing aliens as friends instead of myths. "My sister died on Mars," Diana said. "Colony accident." She was a terraforming engineer. Spent her whole life trying to make dead worlds livable. She used to say that the only thing worse than dying for something meaningful was living for nothing at all. She touched the monument, feeling the names etched into the stone. These people died so others could live free. So children could grow up hearing the stars sing instead of fearing the silence. Yeah, it was worth it. Far above, a child from a species humanity had never encountered until 2 years ago, played with a Tal youngling and a human toddler. They made noise. They laughed. They shouted with the joy of beings who had never known what it meant to hide. And across the galaxy, on 1 billion worlds and 1,000 languages, beings spoke and sang and celebrated existence. The void that had been silent for millennia was filled with sound, radio signals, music, poetry, arguments, declarations of love, commerce negotiations, bad jokes and good stories. The galaxy dreamed again, and humanity, stubborn and loud and refusing to accept fate, had reminded it how, somewhere in the deep dark, ancient beings that had transcended physical form observed the change. The architects, watching their descendants finally escape stagnation, they had left their warnings intentionally, hoping someone would eventually challenge the false order that had calcified galactic civilization. They had waited patiently for 3,000 years. It turned out they only needed to wait for humanity to find the stars. Diana looked up at the night sky, no longer dark and empty but filled with lights from ships and stations and worlds. Each light was a voice. Each voice was a choice to exist loudly and proudly. She smiled. The silence was broken. The galaxy sang, and nothing would ever be the same again.